Good afternoon, everybody. I'm John Knight, and these are the results from a literary review I did for a postgraduate diploma in adult and vocational education at Charles Sturt University. It's part of the educational faculty, and I'm making a short video for the results. It's basically how to save money by keeping people out of prison, but simultaneously keeping people safe. It didn't start that way. The nature of the outcomes. Although this was written under the education faculty, contrary to appearances, this is not some bleeding heart expose of don't pick on people. It takes a hard-nosed economic view of the problem. So please keep an open mind regardless of what your existing political ideals may or may not be. You might be wondering what a pracademic is. Well, you're talking to one. A pracademic offers sophisticated, real-world solutions to complex problems using evidence-based, data-driven research. My research question was solution-based crime prevention models. Does vocational education have a place, and is it cost-effective? The answer is yes, but the work skills training in prison and post-release for that matter needs to be coordinated and prioritised with drug rehabilitation training, mental health treatment, training that stops people from reoffending, and all of the above really need to be well coordinated as a holistic post-release through care package. Let's just quickly discuss an example, of which there are many, about avoidable waste. A car thief is pushed out the front gate of the prison. They are 500 kilometres from home. They have not been given a bus ticket or a plane ticket home. They have no cash to buy one for themselves. There's a 2-kilometre walk to a country town just outside the front gate of the jail. Then why would we be surprised that this person ends up reoffending to steal a car to get home? Surely the cost of buying that former prisoner a ticket home is a savings to everybody to assist them in preventing reoffending and ending up back in the judicial system. Drug rehabilitation takes place in prisons all around Australia at the moment. It is best and better positioned in the healthcare system. It's stretching the resources of the justice system and the jails. They're not ideally equipped to resolve those matters. Let's just have a quick look at recidivism. Because it's a cyclic problem, that creates the issue that can be fixed. If you break the cycle, we save money. Now here's some counterintuitive economic knowledge. You need to spend money to make money. Well, you need to spend money in prison training to stop people going back to prison. So you get caught committing a crime, you go through the court process, you go to prison, you get no training, no rehabilitation, you get released, you can't find a job, you haven't figured out how to not commit crimes because it's the only modus operandi you have, you reoffend, you get caught, and it never ends throughout a person's life. This is the current model of the prison system in a lot of Australia, in particular Queensland, and effectively it makes incarceration a public bad. However, an alternative is if, while in prison, you coordinate mental health treatment, drug use treatment, working on anti-crime committing training, so you teach people alternative conduct, alternative ways of behaving once released on how not to recommit crimes, and do some post-release follow-up. How's this for something seemingly counterintuitive? Instead of spending money on keeping this person in jail for a second or a third time, why not give a portion of that money to, one, training them how not to reoffend in the first place, and then the remainder to an employer, so when they come out of prison with a barista ticket or a stockman's ticket or a tyre changing skill set, it's an easy economic decision for an employer to take them on for a wage subsidy and ignore an irrelevant criminal record. They then get a job and they are then paying taxes back into the economy instead of having taxes spent on them, keeping them in prison. This resolves the issues of affording public safety, doing time in prison as a punishment, and affording rehabilitation and reform. This is incarceration as a public good. Note, greater than 50% of all prisoners around Australia have been in prison before. And most of this reoffending takes place within 3 years. The highest rate of people who reoffend are substance users. Mental health issues often see mentally ill people in prison. Jailing children only makes lifelong criminals, and it is the least effective way to treat child crime. Let's look at the same alternative model a slightly different way. Currently, if you have poor mental health or you have a drug addiction, the police may intervene, you will go through the court systems, you will end up in jail. An alternative could be that if we treat mental health issues as non-criminal issues, if we treat drug addiction or drug-related issues as a health issue, we can then not have these two categories of prisoners in the prison. And this does what? Well, it actually affords people the treatment to resolve the issue that would have seen them go to prison in the first place, and it keeps the rest of society safe, and it takes pressure off the jail and the court system. Now let's just look at some numbers. Between 2009 and 2019, our rates of incarceration for the whole prison system in Queensland went up by 96 people per 100,000. In our Indigenous population, that cohort rose by 605 people per 100,000. Again, if we just look at the Indigenous population, the Indigenous population between 2009 and 2019 grew in Queensland by 1.2%. However, the Indigenous prisoner population grew by 4.6%. Prisoner training dropped over the same period from 65% of all inmates partaking to 29% of all inmates partaking. This could be a causative factor. 3 things prison are meant to do: keep society safe, send the guilty to prison as a punishment, and then rehabilitate the prisoners and train them so that they do not reoffend. Here's a 5-step plan. Treat mental health as a mental health issue in mental health hospitals. Treat drug addictions as a health issue. Provide quality decision-making training whilst in jail to help people in prison not to reoffend. Provide work skills so that they can feed themselves once they get out of prison, and support their wages in a new job for about 3 years. This makes it an easy economic choice for an employer, and it supports the former prisoner to reintegrate and get some self-worth back into their life once they're outside the prison society. All of this has got to be well coordinated. If the left hand doesn't talk to the right hand, we end up with a knot and a mess, and a very costly mess at that. Okay, a final word. Let's just consider the cost of being tough on crime. It's a really good political line. Both parties have used it around Australia in the past and juggled the numbers to suit an election need. Well, here's an alternative way to approach exactly the same problem, and everybody wins. If you consider inefficient incarceration, so jailing the wrong people, not rehabilitating them while they're in jail, it costs more in the short, the medium and the long term. We are currently in a nationwide recession with the plague of COVID-19. If we can free up wasted money from the judicial and the prison system, these funds could be made available to recover the economy from the recession. Please note, everything so far has been politically neutral. So to wrap this up, a final statement. Where governments around Australia, and for that matter around the world, spend more tax revenue on rehabilitation and training components of prison, they save money in the medium and the long term. This is one of those counterintuitive economic or networking relationships, like having to spend money to make money. The larger a file sharing network gets, the faster it runs. If you spend more money on rehabilitation services, so in the short term, if you spend more money in prisons, you save money in prisons. Jailing children only leads to adult criminals. Hint: shock jock journalism does not care about good policy outcomes, only ratings. Go figure. I implore all readers and watchers today to consider the research, to be smart, to be frugal, and take the long-term view that everybody saves tax revenue and wins when you consider the 5-point plan raised above. Okay, I need to acknowledge country that I'm currently talking to you from Yajinji land, and I acknowledge and respect elders past and present. These are the references, and if you found this interesting, please feel free to contact me here. That's one of my work emails, kusa005a@gmail. And this has been John MFX Knight, a pracademic from the Postgraduate School of Education at Charles Sturt University. Thank you for your time and your trouble.